The lack of affordable housing is an issue that surrounds most cities in the modern United States. The issue is global, but in the immediate community surrounding Cleveland, Ohio, the issue is even more prevalent than the national average. 1 in 5 rentals in the Cleveland area faced eviction in the last year alone. These people are not only being forced out of their homes, but they are being forced out of their communities. This causes issues that go far beyond financial insecurity. Housing is the backbone of most modern economies, and many other social justice issues and praxis topics are contingent on the housing market. The amount people pay on rent and how much they contribute to the consumption of goods and services are key aspects that surround the issue of housing. Policy is the driving force behind the lack of affordable housing. Initially, the laws were rooted in racism against people of color, and however this is now illegal, the effects of the initial segregation of the housing market can still be seen today through property values and community demographics. If lawmakers are unable to entice and encourage developers to create more affordable homes, then the national economy will be hindered, and the quality of life for the poor will continue to decline. The people affected the most by the lack of affordable housing are the poor, but people at every social economic status have something to gain from a strong and healthy housing market. From revitalized communities to an increase in property values, eradicating a lack of affordable housing can encourage economic success and social solidarity. Through our time in Praxis, the issue has grown into much more than a social justice issue. Our topic combines the compassion we all have with the hard technical truths surrounding the housing market to create an issue that has roots in policy and in faith.
We look into the charisms to see how they may guide us in the correct approach to the issues of safe and affordable housing. Inclusiveness and hospitality go hand in hand as they establish a loving and safe environment between people in an unsafe housing situation and those who want to help that are in a safe housing situation. Hospitality encourages those who need it to reach out for help. Option for the Poor is seen as a key role in safe and affordable housing. This is shown from kind landlords willing to give tenants a break to even more fortunate families offering food and clothes for the families that are spending all of their money on housing. In living out this charism, one must forget about their own struggles for a little and realize these people may not have gotten a meal today. They may be going home to an abusive family or spouse and don't think they can do anything about it. These people work so hard every day just to make ends meet. The Catholic social teaching, Care for God's Creation, tells us to do just that. It is our calling to protect everyone in their homes. So we should do that. God's creation also includes you and me and everyone else, but also homes. But when those homes become unsafe to use, humans should not keep living in them. That is why it is important to have especially safe and affordable housing.
Through our independent research, we realized that the lack of quality affordable housing in Cleveland and throughout the world is not directly caused by any one thing. current housing problems seem to have roots in government policy, poverty, and a lack of understanding of housing laws and programs. In our first interview, we learned about eviction. Miss Dawn English, the Education and Outreach Coordinator at the Housing Center, told us how other problems like domestic violence can result in eviction. For example, if you are being abused by your spouse and decide to call the police, you may cost the neighborhood money since there are sometimes quotas regarding the number of times police can be called to a specific neighborhood without charging them. Landlords might kick you out since you are costing them extra money. Mr. Chris Nestrick, the director of the Northeast Ohio Coalition for the Homeless, or NEOC, and Miss Joyce Robinson, the volunteer coordinator and the free store manager for NEOC, told us how homeless people actually live on a day-to-day basis. In describing her story, she emphasized that there is a transition into and out of homelessness. Once you live in a home, it can be very difficult to adjust to the strict schedule of a shelter or life on the streets, and the reverse is also true. Once you are homeless, it can be very difficult to adjust to the financial responsibilities of renting or owning a home. Before our interviews, we learned that housing is affordable if a person spends 30% or less of their income on housing. In our interviews, Ms. English, Mr. Nestrick, and Ms. Robinson emphasized that people affected by housing challenges tend to have other difficulties because of their lack of shelter, which is a basic human need. Since people who struggle with housing often struggle to pay for other necessities like food, we chose to do our action response at University Settlement, providing food for people. Some of us worked in the kitchen, some of us served hot food, and some of us worked in the food pantry. We were able to directly help people who needed it.
Throughout this project, we have all learned to appreciate what we have, after truly being witnesses to poverty. All of us have learned valuable lessons on not expecting the givens, home, food, water, etc., but instead appreciating those things. We started off the project by asking ourselves, what does it mean to a community to have quality, affordable housing? Nearing the end of it now, the answer is a lot. A community with people living on the streets because of the inability to purchase a home is a community that has to bear witness to poverty every day. Bearing witness to poverty is not an easy thing. For instance, while walking through downtown Cleveland, if a homeless man or woman comes up to you asking for money, do you give them some or avoid eye contact? Think about having to give someone money every day or avoid eye contact with people every day and what that would do to your own life, thinking about the human dignity of all people. Next, we reflected on our interviews and what they meant to us. At the first interview, there were people who were undergoing what sounded like eviction. We had to sit there and watch as a woman asked numerous questions on what to do and how she should take action. After that, we then took action by volunteering at University Settlement for homeless people in the Cleveland area. That experience hit us right in the gut because we were working hands-on with people who had to feed families on minimum wage and could not afford homes. We then set up a plan for the future because of this experience and how much it meant for us to either serve them a hot meal or drinks or pack their groceries. Every detail matters when volunteering, and we took that to heart, making sure that everyone got a good experience and hopefully would come back until they don't need a food kitchen anymore. This project has shaped us to see the human dignity in all people and include everyone in the world that we grew up in, not the one that they're in.
In the beginning of our project, we didn't quite know what to expect. Most of us expected for the people involved to be mainly lower income households and probably minorities. On top of this,
The prices of housing were and still are steadily increasing, making it harder for those that have a hard time now. Another thing that is shown to be very hard on those struggling is that once they are part of the social justice issue of homelessness, it is a very hard cycle to get out of. Another issue that we have seen is that there are places out there for those that are affected by homelessness, but many of these programs only help so much, and for many, that so much may help for the time being, but ends up setting them back up to restart the cycle of homelessness. This is something that needs to be changed. In the future, we should strive to introduce more stable programs that are there to help those get out of this vicious cycle. There are a few things that could be done, but the biggest thing that should be done is more options for those that cannot pay the high prices for the available homes today. Some of the options that could be done is by making more affordable housing for the homeless. Along with affordable housing, we should strive to help the homeless get into stable jobs so that they can pay for these things on their own and not have to rely so much on the programs that may fund them. With all these changes, I do believe we can help to reduce the problem of people living on the streets and help in creating a more affordable infrastructure for everyone.